Welcome to class today. I apologize for being gone, but I appreciate that you're here today. I wanted to do the directions via video and going over the answers via video, so that way the sub did not have to go through the answers of the male and female anatomy assignment that you guys were working on. If you remember from last class, you guys should have had your male and female anatomy assignment completed. It was kind of a graphic organizer. It was a way to work through the definitions. In class, we talked about this, and then I gave you time to work on it. You should have all the information done. Remember, there was a word bank that we gave you in class for different sections. But now we're on to class today. And in just a second, I'm going to have you pause the video so you can go in and begin your bell ringer. Okay, your bell ringer question for the day is, do you think parents should talk to their kids about sex? Yes, no, or why? Right now, I want you to pause the video, go answer your question, and then come back and watch the video for the rest of the directions for class today. Thank you. All right, you should have just answered your questions about, do you think your parents should talk to you about sex? My guess, without knowing your answers, is that a lot of you probably said no. It'd be weird, it would be gross, it'd be very uncomfortable. Some of you maybe did say yes. You see the importance of what is out there today. You see the importance of what's going on with different sexual harassment claims. You go, what is right, what is wrong. Some of you, it's dependent on religious beliefs. Others of you haven't had the talk yet. I can tell you that I can remember the time back when my parents, or actually my mom, gave me that talk, but unlike some of you, my mom came in and taught my health class about this exact same lesson. So yeah, you're probably sitting back thinking, oh, well, at least my mom didn't teach me in class. Well, my mom actually did. The health teacher had my mom come in class and give us the talk because he didn't want to, and he knew my mom was a physician assistant at the time and was willing to do that. So yes, the rest of my buddies would come and tell me, your mom taught me about the male penis and the female vagina and how we have kids and all that kind of stuff. So I had to go through my freshman year. My mom taught me and the rest of my friends about this topic. So at least you don't have that. But it is an important topic. My guess is if a lot of you said no, you said no because it's weird and it's gross. And if your parents don't tell you about it, and who's going to? And how are you going to know how, I guess, you were created or where you came from or how your anatomy works and why it works the way it does? So this is just a very brief understanding of it, going through the definitions. What we're going to do right now is you should open your notes of the male and female reproductive anatomy. I'm going to go through the anatomy and the definitions and kind of the packet that you just did. And in the meantime, I want you to make sure you're updating your information. Okay? So I'm going to go back here to our images and kind of talk you through this so you can see them right here. And in your male and female anatomy, I guess, outline, it starts out, each male and female has a specific distinctive reproductive system. They can be different in form and structure. However, they are both intended to create, nurture, and carry either the egg or the sperm. For those of you that not know, the male carries the sperm and the female carries the egg. Okay, the male reproductive anatomy consists of reproductive organs known as the genitals. They're on both sides and on the outside of the pelvis. Okay, the genitals are the reproductive organs or the external sex organ. The pelvis is on your body, the basin-shaped structure of the vertebrae skeleton. Okay, so now we're on the key terms section and what you'll need to know for this unit. And there will be an assessment over this, and so you will need to know some of these definitions. Also, these definitions, if you don't understand the definition, it's going to be tough in the next section to know the fertilization process of how it starts with the male and then it ends up in the female and then it becomes you. So we've got to have an understanding of the definitions first. So if you look right here, okay, the penis is the organ through which the semen or the urine travels. Okay, most of us probably, if it is the most recognizable male part, is the penis. Okay, the scrotum is the outside sac holding the testes. Okay, so then, well, what are the testes? What's it holding? Okay, it's the structure that creates masculinity, hormones, and the actual semen. Okay. We will then move on to, and it's labeled a little bit different here. It's called the ductus deferens, but it's actually in your definition, the vas deferens, which is the narrow tube that transport the sperm from the testes. Okay, so the sperm is, remember, the reproductive part that comes from the male. Okay, so the sperm comes up through the vas deferens. Okay, then we're going to go over to the prostate gland. Okay, the prostate gland is located right here. It is the gland which produces a preserving fluid for the sperm. Okay, so it's going to help it give it that protective coating so when it travels, it could not die right away. Okay, the seminal vesicle, this is the gland that creates a sugar solution for the sperm. This gives the sperm its liveliness, the ability to move. It gives it another protective coating type of, I guess, area. And that is located right here. Okay, it's another gland. So the sperm has traveled up. We've come through. Okay, we've got through the prostate and then the seminal vesicles. The bladder is a muscular sac in the pelvis just above the hip bone. So now we're talking about up here. Okay, the bladder area, the slender tube from the bladder, okay, through the penis, preventing a pathway for the urine and semen to exit the body. Okay, would be the urethra. Okay, so we have this area right here where that sperm has been created. It's going to come up and it's going to travel, and now that sperm and urine is going to release and leave the body in this area right here. Okay. And then the epididymis is a highly complex duct behind the testes, along which the sperm passes through the vas deferens, okay, and then it travels that way. So the production of sperm, okay, begins at puberty. So some of the males have begun at puberty, continues all the way through the male's entire life. So we're always producing sperm as a male. Okay, millions of sperm are produced every day. However, it takes 2 months for the male to leave the body. Okay, so it's a slow process for the sperm to leave. The sperm need testosterone and a lower temperature than typical body temperature to survive. And the sperm has a life cycle of 48 to 72 hours in the female genital zone. So if the sperm was released in a female, okay, it would take that 48 to 72 hours for it to travel through. So and we'll come more into that in the fertilization process. Okay, so now we have a little bit understanding, and I'm going to exit out of this, and I'm going to make sure you have the answer key, which should be right here. So your answer key should be just like this, and you can pause the video right now to make sure you have everything spelled right and in the correct order. All right, we're going to move on to the female now. The female eventually is going to have less, but on this assignment has a little bit more. And we have to have a good understanding because the female actually carries a lot. The male has produced the sperm eventually has left the male, and now it's going to be the female's job to, I guess, care for a little child. Okay, so the uterus. Okay, you've maybe heard of the uterus. This is the womb, pear-shaped organ in the pelvis opening in which the embryo and fetus mature. So this is where the baby is going to grow, in this area right here. The endometrium is right here. This is the lining of the uterus, which is shed about every 28 to 30 days in a non-pregnant woman. So if you hear of a female being on her period, it's the shedding of the endometrium that is occurring during that process. Okay, the cervix right here is a strong barrier of the uterus. Okay? And then we move on to the fallopian tubes. There are 2 fallopian tubes. At the end of each fallopian tube is an ovary, but the fallopian tubes are ranging from each side of the uterus near the ovary, and they offer a passage from the ova to the uterus. Okay, so now we have the ovary, one of 2 glands found on each side of the pelvic opening that creates the ova and the female sex hormones. Okay, so this is where the egg is coming from. After the ovary, okay, we have another cervix, which is the stem. Okay, is both. So cervix should be on there twice as the strong barrier of the uterus and the stem of the uterus. Okay, so then we have the vagina. Okay, a lot of times this is one of the ones that people hear about a lot. This is the tubular pathway from the cervix, okay, to the outside of the body. Okay, so if you look over here on the female, this is from the outside of the body. This would be the vagina area or the vaginal area right here. The vulva is the external genitalia of the female. Okay. The labia are the folds of the tissue on either sides of the vaginal opening. And then we have the clitoris is the woman's erectile tissue on the frontal portion of the vulva. Okay, so it's on that area right down here. It's not labeled on this big picture. Okay, so if we go back to our answer key, this is what your answers should look like. You're more than welcome to pause the video right here to make sure you have the correct answers for the female. As we move down, okay, we can see each male and female have specific distinctive reproductive systems. We've got to have an idea of where each of them are located. If you have an idea where each of them are located, you're going to be able to understand the fertilization process, which we will get to next time in class. Actually, we're even going to get to it a little bit in class today in just a second. So what you're going to see right here is the male reproductive system. Okay, and I'm going to give you the answers below. Okay, number 1 should be pubic bone. 2 should be vas deferens. Okay, 3 is going to be the penis. 4 is going to be the urethra. 5 is going to be the bladder. 6 is going to be the epididymis. 7 is going to be the testes, and 8 is going to be the scrotum. What I want you to do right now next to each of these is I want you to go in and I want you to type the definition. Okay. So you will pause the video and I want you to go in and write the definition next to each of these. Again, I think this is going to help you with the understanding of the information. You're more than welcome to copy the definition from above, but if for some reason the definition is not there or you want to put it in your own words, that's okay too. When complete, please type definition next to answer. And I apologize about my spelling here. Okay, so now we're going to go down to the female. And the female is, you're going to have to label less because in the fertilization process, these are the big parts that you'll need to know. Okay, and again, I'm going to have you type the definition when you're complete, but number 1 is the fallopian tubes. Okay. 2 is the ovary. 3 is going to be the uterus, which is pointing right here, and 1 is pointing to the fallopian tube. 4 is going to be the cervix, and 5 is going to be the vaginal area or the vagina. Okay, and make sure you type the definitions here. Okay, at this time, your study guide should be filled out. Okay, this will all come into play. This will all be on an assessment at some point, but it will be graded. Okay, and so make sure that you have all the correct answers. Once you're done and you have your filled out, okay, as a group, most of you are probably finishing at about the same time. You're now going to go back to your Google Classroom, and in today's assignment, there's going to be a lot of information, but there's going to be something called, or actually I'm going to rewind just a second. Okay, you're not going to go back to your Google Classroom just yet. You're going to see the sub, and what the sub is going to do is the sub is going to give you an envelope with colored pieces of paper in there. Okay, if you take the paper out carefully, okay, there should be 17 strips of paper. Each strip is going to be the fertilization process. Okay, so if we go back to our guiding notes right here, you're going to put the fertilization process into order. Okay, it's complicated. It's a beautiful process. It's the process that made you, okay, if you think about it like that. So with your group, you're going to put the card sort in order and what you think happens first, second, third, fourth, all the way to 17. Okay, when you're completed, you're actually going to go back to your Google Classroom now, and you're going to fill out this answer right here. Okay, step 1. It's going to, let's say you put the first sperm reaches the egg as your first step. Okay, you put number 1, and then you put right here, this was your second step, and then you put your third step, and then this was your 6th step, and that was your 17th step right here. Okay, whatever your answer is, okay, then you're going to go, the sub will have the answer key. I want you to go through, and let's say number 1 was actually this one right here, okay, and you had number 1 wrong. I want you to go up and I want you to mark it as yellow. Okay, that way you know, oh, that one was out of order. Okay, then you're going to go up, oh, this one was right. That was actually the 3rd step, but this wasn't the 17th step. Okay, you had to add an order. Any step that you have out of order right here, you're going to mark as yellow. Okay, your answer key will look sorry, I have too many things open over here. Okay, your answer key will be very similar to what this looks like, but it'll have, this would be step 12, this will be step 14, this will be step 1, okay, something like that. So you're checking your answer. Then what you're going to do is you're going to either go back and you're going to try to, without the card sort, without your answer sheet, individually, you're going to try to put these in the correct order. Okay. If you want to make it super challenging, you can black this all out so you have no idea what the answers are, and then you can go back and then recheck your answers. On this, again, if you have this one out of order after you check your answer, I want you to make sure you put it as yellow. Okay, if you have it right, then you're just going to leave it clear, just like this. I should be able to go in at the end of today and look like, oh, so-and-so had this one and this one wrong, but it looks like they had kind of got it understood. Okay, in the next class, okay, there's going to be a formative assessment where you're not going to have this document. You're going to have to do it individually. Okay, so the more you can practice, the more you can challenge yourself, the better on this. If you have any questions, please ask the sub. But I think this video should explain most of it for you. If you happen to finish checking your packet and then going through steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 today, then you are done for the day and you can work on other homework. You could listen to music, but you do need to stay in your seat and go throughout that. Again, I appreciate this. If you have any serious, real important questions, you can email me and I will get back to you as soon as possible.